welcome to the 7th episode of Shattered. I'm Allyson Park, and I'm here with my co-hosts Amber Williams and Jaya Williams. And today we have a couple of interesting things to talk about. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics and also a little bit about the NBA and some interesting draft and trade updates there. But first of all, how are you guys feeling today?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. Just got my hair done. It's a beautiful Tuesday. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, off of a great weekend of traveling, so I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, I'm feeling good as well. I'm actually in Vermont right now, and the weather's beautiful up here as opposed
It looks beautiful behind you. It's so sunny.
Yeah,
I wish
it's
Miami
great.
was like that. It's all cloudy and rainy today.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
raining
so
here in
hot.
Virginia too, so I'm super
Really?
jealous. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's beautiful here, and it's been a nice change from the humid Virginia weather, so I'm feeling great as well. But on that note, let's jump right into it. So first of all, I am going to talk about teenagers at the Olympics. This is something I am super excited to talk about because this Olympics was the year of Gen Z. There have been so many standout teenage Olympians this year who have been winning, surprisingly. In a world full of experienced veteran competitors, it's both surprising and extremely impressive that some of the most standout dominating athletes of these 2020 Tokyo Olympics have been teenagers. So super, super young athletes, breaking records, making headlines, and winning medals for their country. There are so many teenagers that absolutely killed it in their very first Olympics, but I chose three specifically that I wanted to talk about. And this isn't like the three best. These are just three people I was really excited about. And yeah, I am so excited to get into this because all of these athletes are incredible, and I wish I could talk about them even more than I already have. But let's jump right into it. So first of all, you know that Sunisa Lee had to be on this list. This girl has been an absolute joy to watch. I just love her so much. It's been a joy to watch her perform in her very first Olympic Games, and she's been so versatile and so dominant in every single event. She's the first Hmong American to represent the U.S. at the Olympics in general, and that's huge for a people group that is grossly underrepresented in basically everything. So props to her for that. But as of today, she's got the full set. She won gold in the individual all around, which was a crazy, crazy upset when Simone Biles pulled out. But that was a complete joy to watch her perform in that. She won silver in the team all around, despite the fact that Simone Biles had to drop out of that. Bronze on the individual uneven bars. Her very first Olympics, and she's bringing home 3 medals: gold medal and gold, silver, and bronze, which is crazy. But I know everyone loves Suni Lee. I think she's the best. She's received so much support from her fellow athletes. But I want to get your guys' opinions. How did you guys feel getting to watch her perform for the very first time?
She was absolutely incredible. I was so excited to see her, and she honestly blew away all of my expectations of what I expected to see from her. And I think she really stepped up once Simone Biles got out of the competition. I think she carried this USA team. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially in light of everything that obviously happened with Simone Biles and her prioritizing her mental health, it's really cool to see people like Suni kind of really step up to the plate here and blow everyone away. And again, what that does for representation and her making history just to be so young and, to be the first Han American to do something like this. It's really, really cool. And I'm just very happy for her. I think she really impressed a lot of people, and it's kind of paving way for the next generation of gymnasts and athletes that we're going to remember forever, the way that we kind of remember people like Simone Biles.
Yeah, for me, I was super impressed to see her step up specifically at the individual in the team all-around event. Because we all know Simone Biles is the greatest of all time. And when that happened, I think everyone was very shaken. And it was impressive to me to see someone so young take the pressure and transition, like adapt to the crazy situation so well and still perform incredibly under all the pressure. Because when Simone Biles withdrew from the competition, all eyes immediately were on Sunisa Lee. And there's a lot of pressure on her. Her and Jordan Childs, they both had a lot of pressure on them. They're very young too, but they stepped up to the plate in a great way. And Russia obviously performed very well and was able to win the gold medal. But I think it says a lot about this team that they were still able to win silver without the help of Simone Biles. So USA Gymnastics is certainly in fantastic hands with Sunisa Lee. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about her individual all-around performance. So that was a complete joy to watch. Like, I love women's gymnastics, and it's just so beautiful, you know, especially seeing someone so young win such a big event like this. My favorite event of hers to watch is the uneven bars, because her routine is just so complicated and so crazy and just next level. That stood out to me in particular in her individual all-around event. But she performed so well in every single one of those events, and she scraped a win. So these are the statistics. So Suni's end at total points for the individual all around were 57.33, and she won against Brazilian Rebecca Andrade, and her total was 57.298 points. So she scraped that win, and I think she is very deserving of it. She joins Mary Lou Retton, Carly Patterson, Nastia Lukin, Gabby Douglas, and Simone Biles as the sixth American gymnast to accomplish this impressive feat. So I was so happy when this happened. It was great to see her step up for the American team in the absence of Simone Biles, because that obviously has had the biggest impact on the gymnastics world this year. But this young lady's really stepped up and shown the world what she is made of and what she's capable of, and that she should never be underestimated or undervalued simply because she performs the greatest of all time. I think she proved that the U.S. team doesn't all rely on Simone Biles. They all have their strengths, and they all performed so well in her absence. And I am so excited to see Sunisa Lee perform in the coming Olympics, especially because she has been through a lot of emotional and physical challenge to get where she is today. So she has battled multiple foot injuries. I know she broke her foot, I think, last year. She's lost a couple really close family members to COVID-19, and she struggled with the aftermath of an accident that left her father paralyzed. But despite all of these physical and mental hurdles, Suni Lee has completely excelled at these Olympic Games. I think we can all agree she's been a joy to watch, and her performance has been truly inspiring in a really exciting and historic moment of representation for the Hmong community. So I think this has been one of my favorite parts of this Olympics. So being able to see Suni Lee shine has been so amazing and so fun for me.
So for me, I personally think Suni Lee is the new face of Team USA for gymnastics, because, you know, not to get into the whole Simone Biles situation, but if we want to talk about mental health, this is an example of when you kind of persevere. Like, you mentioned all that stuff she went through, and she still showed up. You know, she still competed when her teammates could not. And I think that just really shows perseverance, and, you know, she was able to work through her challenges, and that's why she's now, in my opinion, the new face of it. And I think it's incredible.
She definitely is like a rising superstar. I'm right there with you guys. I mean, I can't even imagine dealing with some of the things that she's dealt with. And I'm 21, you know, so at 19 years old, to go through hardships in life at any age is tough. And, you know, it's very hard to come back from those things mentally and spiritually and physically as well. So for her to, you know, deal with family issues, health issues, injuries, it makes me all the more happy for her to have this type of victory. And it makes us, I think, as Americans, all the more proud to have her here representing us. Because I think that really is what it's all about, is just kind of that grit and that perseverance. And while mental health should 100% be prioritized, and, you know, I think even if she wanted to join Simone and be like, hey, I can't do this either, like, I'm going through too much, that it makes sense. And athletes 100% should prioritize, you know, their mental health. But for her to kind of overcome her challenges and still put on the performance of a lifetime, I know that she's made everybody proud, those close to her and those that she doesn't even know, like all of us. So yeah, I'm with you guys. It was a great thing to see.
So Lydia Jacoby is a 17-year-old swimmer from Alaska, and this year she became the very first Alaskan to make the U.S. Olympic swim team, and she is also the first Alaskan swimmer to win an Olympic gold medal. So she completely shocked the sports world when she defeated her teammate, reigning champion, and heavy favorite Lily King for the 100-meter breaststroke event. Washington Post actually called her surprise win the most stirring upset of the Olympics so far.
Wow.
I'm not sure if you guys watched it, but it was a very, very close race. And her name, Lydia Jacobi's name, was not even mentioned by the commentators once until she started pulling ahead in the race. So she was not on anybody's radar at all. Lily King and South Africa's Tatjana Schoenmaker were competing very fiercely from the beginning, and it was really close. But Jacobi managed to pull ahead of both of them during the last 10 meters, and she outtouched them both. You can see, if you watch that footage, watch that race, she's completely shocked to have won gold. Like, she was not expecting it at all. She looks at that scoreboard and just completely freaks out. And I love seeing that at the Olympics. But Schoenmaker, who won silver, and King, who won bronze, immediately threw themselves over the lane line to go give her a big hug. They congratulated her on her win. And it was just really sweet, especially because Jacobi was so shocked. She was kind of frozen, didn't know what was going on. But this was the race of Lydia Jacobi's life. Alaska, I'm sure, as everyone can deduce, isn't exactly a swimming state. In the entire state of Alaska, there's only one Olympic-sized pool, and it's 120 miles from Lydia Jacobi's high school, which is absolutely crazy. And she would have to go there to train because that's what it was going to be like at the Olympics. On Twitter, some videos were shared from the entire community of Jacobi's hometown of Seward, Alaska, joined together to witness and celebrate her victory, and they absolutely freaked out because it was a crazy come from behind win. I don't think anyone was as surprised as Jacobi was herself. She told press afterwards that she knew that she could win a medal, but she had no idea that she would end up winning gold. So props to her. But this was definitely one of my favorite events and races to watch at the Olympics this year. Just watching her kind of come up out of nowhere and end up pushing through and beating the reigning champion, her fellow American, and Schoenmaker was so crazy to watch. And I loved her genuine reaction of just complete shock and excitement. It was so beautiful to watch. But yeah, what do you guys think of Lydia Jacobi's breakout performance in her very first Olympics?
You know, speaking of her reaction, it's like, my favorite thing is to watch the newer Olympians, like we're talking about teenagers right now. You know, the older ones, they win. Of course they get excited because it's the Olympics, but they're also like, oh, this is my 4th gold medal, you know, like, so when the newer ones step up and they get it, I love seeing their reactions, and it makes me so happy to see this new generation. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's just so cute. Like, this story makes me really happy. I mean, like, literally, what are the odds of some 17-year-old girl from Alaska winning gold for us? I think it kind of just, same with Suni, you know, it's like defeating odds in a different way. Overcoming your odds and kind of doing like the impossible. I think she should definitely be just incredibly proud of herself. And it hits different to see people achieve these things for the first time. And I'm sure, you know, for all these athletes that we're talking about, it's going to be their first of many. But something about just like their first time getting it and proving themselves and making people at home proud, that's really the stuff that we love to see. And I think that's what the Olympics is all about.
Yeah, I feel like with this Olympics, there's been a common theme of veteran swimmers being surprisingly beaten out by teenagers, by young athletes, people who this is their very first Olympics with not as much experience. And I think that's crazy to watch. And I think it's happened a lot more this Olympics than I've ever seen before. So that's why I kind of want to talk about teenagers. But it was beautiful to see the amount of support that Lily King gave Jacobi, because at the end of the day, they're still teammates. And she was just happy America had gotten a medal. And it was really nice to see her just be so excited for her and know that this was such an important moment, her very first Olympic gold medal. So we love seeing the support for Team USA. But I have one more person that I'd like to talk about. Last but not least is Ahmed Hafnaoui. So Ahmed Hafnaoui is an 18-year-old swimmer swimming for Tunisia. So country that maybe you don't see getting medals very much. Was not even on anyone's radar at all entering the finals of the men's 400 freestyle event. He was placed in lane 8 and ranked 16. He qualified for the finals by a mere milliseconds, barely qualified for the finals.
Wow.
And nobody expected him to perform the way that he did. I would really recommend you guys watching this race because it is crazy. he pulled ahead the last 100 meters of the race or so. And for a majority of the race, you couldn't even see him because he was in lane 8 all the way at the bottom. You couldn't even see the dude for half the race. But as soon as he started pulling ahead, the commentators started going crazy. Like, this kid from Tunisia is pulling ahead of heavy favorites like Jack McLaughlin of Australia and Kieran Smith of Team USA. And he beat them by a considerable amount as well. This is a hard swim, and I can't believe that he managed to pull ahead of the recent favorites by as much as he did in his little time. That's something that you don't see lane 8 swimmers winning at the Olympics very often, like any kind of medal. But pulling ahead for gold, that's absolutely unheard of. And this win brought Tunisia their second gold medal in swimming for the entire time. So I know this means a lot to his country and a lot to him. But this is another win that was really heartwarming to watch, because if you watch it, he touches the wall, looks at the scoreboard, and just starts screaming at the top of his lungs. He can't believe he's done what he just done. He jumps on the lane line, just starts screaming and splashing around because he can't believe what just happened. I couldn't believe what just happened, and I was just watching it. But commentators were going crazy. He was going crazy. His family back home was going crazy. So it was just something that was really beautiful to witness. And as a former swimmer, I know that he was such a heavy underdog. Like, no, he shouldn't have even won bronze. The fact that he won gold is insane. It's like a fluke, like race of a lifetime kind of chances. Like, that was one of the craziest races I've ever watched. And his reaction was so adorable. And during the medal ceremony, he was just smiling. He had a mask on. You could tell he was smiling so hard. So I know this means a lot for Ahmed Hafnaoui, and it means a lot for Tunisia. But I wanted to ask if you guys had heard about this, since men's swimming especially, isn't that big here in the U.S. So have you guys heard about this incredible race at all?
Yeah, I had, and I'm really glad that you brought it up because I think it needs more attention. It's really, really cool. Everybody loves a good underdog story, but this one is just truly impressive, and it's really cool to see a new person kind of come to the forefront and blow everybody away. I feel like a lot of this is kind of just people achieving the impossible, and really it's very inspiring to see. To see for the unexpected to happen, and for all these young kids to really bring their everything to the table and show just how great of Olympians they are. It really is heartwarming to see.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Like, I'm just imagining what you said. Like, he's in lane 8. Nobody's nobody at home was really paying attention to the poor guy. They're all looking at the other ones, and all of a sudden they're like, "Wait a second, somebody's pulling ahead here." I think it's absolutely amazing. Again, like Jaya said, you gotta love the underdog story. It's amazing.
Yeah, Hafnaoui actually spoke to press afterwards and said that his goal for this Olympics was just to gain experience. Like, he was aiming to win his first gold medal at the Paris Olympics in 2024. So he wasn't even expecting to win anything. He just wanted. I went to the Olympics for the experience. I didn't expect I'd be coming home with a medal, much less a gold medal in the 400 freestyle. So he was shocked by his win. He performed outrageously, like insane, crazy, race of a lifetime. So I was just so happy to see him get that win. Teenagers at the Olympics have certainly surprised us all, from all around the world. Every country has had a couple breakout teenage stars this year. And I love to see young people thriving in their respective sports, because as much as we love the veterans, it's so great to see young people get a bunch of their firsts here at the Olympics especially. But as much as we love talking about teenagers at the Olympics, we're going to move on to Olympic basketball, which has gone interestingly, especially for the U.S. this year. So, Amber, why don't you give us an update on basketball?
Yeah, so to quickly recap the preliminaries for the United States men's team. So on July 25th, they lost against France. And then they came back with a big win on July 28th, 120-66 over Iran. And then they won their final game in the preliminary rounds against the Czech Republic. So the quarterfinals were all completed today. And Slovenia defeated Germany, France defeated Italy, and Australia defeated Argentina. And the United States advanced to the semifinals with a defeat over Spain. So the final score of that game was 95-81. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this matchup, but this is actually a huge rivalry that dates back like decades ago. So they met in a gold medal games in 2008 and 2012. And Spain actually won the FIBA World Cup after Team USA was knocked out in 2019. So there's definitely some bitter blood between these two teams. And I think it was also hard for Spain because, this was likely the Gasol brothers' last Olympic contest, and now they're sent home. We don't get to see them compete again in this Olympics and possibly in any of the other ones. But the U.S. came back from an 11-point deficit in the first half in spite of Ricky Rubio's incredible 38-point performance for Spain. And for the red, white, and blue, Kevin Durant was the leader with 29 points. So this was an incredible game. Did you guys watch it? What did you think of it?
I managed to catch a little bit of it, and I loved seeing it, especially because Team USA for basketball is a lot different from what we had thought, what it has been previous years. Like, there are a lot of stars who chose not to compete in the Olympics this year. And the opening loss was kind of a red flag for me. I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign that we shouldn't get our hopes up. But they definitely have learned from their mistakes and they're coming back from it. And it was great to see them get that win. Even though it was a pretty close game, I'm glad they're able to pull off the win. I'm proud of them. So I'm glad that these first-time Olympians on the men's basketball team have managed to step it up and perform as well as they have been performing. So,
yeah, I am happy that they're doing better, but I don't know if I'm necessarily impressed. I think that for Team USA, wins are kind of just expected. Because we always win. I mean, in basketball, that's how it is. So I think it was definitely, those first game was just kind of shocking and disappointing and like a little embarrassing just because we know that doesn't really happen to us. And obviously, yes, they have gotten a lot better and there are tons of rookie Olympians. So it's going to take some adjustment. But to me, I always feel like wins for basketball are kind of the expectation. It's never like amazing. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Like that's kind of what I always would expect from NBA level athletes. So honestly, I want to see them just really blow everybody out. I want them to start dominating, the way that we're used to them just kind of excelling. But I was glad to see them win, of course, and they are doing better. I just don't know if I'm necessarily like taken aback by their performance. I think this is what we usually see from them and what I would usually expect from them.
Yeah, I will say they're definitely not performing at all at the level that we all expected, but I think that's important for people to like step back and realize that, yeah, okay, this is supposed to be kind of like a dream team almost, but this is the Olympics. This is the best of the best from all the countries. So they're not going to be perfect, but I am glad that they finally turned it around. So the semifinals are now set. The United States will face Australia Thursday, and France will take on Slovenia. But moving on to women's basketball, the ladies will be taking on Australia as well. But let's set the stage as how they got there. So this is such a cool event. If we want to talk about how the men are disappointing, the women are completely on the opposite end of the spectrum, and they are absolutely incredible. I think this is such an important thing to point out. The United States women's basketball team has never lost the Olympic group stage at all. They have won gold at every Olympic Games since 2012. And if they can win again this year, this will be their 7th consecutive gold medal. But it also doesn't matter in one way, because they already hold the record with 6 as the most by any women's traditional team sport. But this is their chance to equal the U.S. men's longest streak of 7 gold in a row. I think they have the power to do it this year. So looking into how they played in the preliminaries, they took a win against Nigeria, and then another one against Japan, and another one against France yesterday. And I want to give a little recap of that France win before we head into quarterfinals. So that win set the stage for a 52-game winning streak in the Olympics for the United States women. France was holding the lead at the end of the first, and it looked a little shaky. But the U.S. took that lead back after an explosive second quarter to head into halftime on top. And Asia Wilson actually led Team USA with 22 points. And, that wasn't surprising because she's been absolutely impressive at these Tokyo performances. She's been kind of the star of this team. But what do you guys think about that France game?
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch it, but I did read up on it afterwards. Like you said, I think this women's team has been very impressive as of late. They've got a great mix of veteran athletes from the WNBA, like Sue Bird, and younger athletes who bring the speed, who bring the intensity. So I think that this is a great roster, and that game in particular was a great moment that proved that the women once again are very much gold medal contenders, and that they have it in them to win their 7th consecutive gold medal. And I am really excited to see them hopefully win gold. But, I think this is something I kind of had wanted to discuss earlier, but I think we as Americans are so used to dominating every sport at the Olympics that we do not celebrate silver and bronze medals enough. Those are still huge accomplishments. Just because a U.S. team or U.S. athlete does not win gold doesn't mean that they did not accomplish anything. So if they win a medal, gold, silver, bronze, whatever, it looks like they will be winning gold, though. I will be very proud of this team and the level of play that they have been able to maintain for so long.
Yeah, I think that's true. I do think we need to take more time to acknowledge bronze and silver medals as huge accomplishments. I mean, even Simone Biles winning bronze earlier today, people were like, bronze? Are you kidding? Bronze is still an amazing achievement. And she already told you that she's focusing on her mental health. So definitely props to all the silver and bronze winners out there. But back to this basketball. Honestly, the women have really been impressing me this year, a lot more than the men have. I'm more looking forward to watching their performances, and I have really high expectations for them going forward. They've just been really dominating and making some great history for us. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these quarterfinals and them playing Australia.
Yeah, so getting into the quarterfinals, they're actually starting today with China taking on Serbia at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then tomorrow, Japan will face Belgium, Spain will face France, and Australia will face the United States. So I wanted to give a quick little, my prediction for what's going to happen for Australia versus United States. Obviously, Australia is the heavy underdog here. They fell to Belgium and China in the preliminaries, and they barely squeaked into this quarterfinals. They had a miraculous game against Puerto Rico, but Australia is without their star, Liz Cambage, because they lost her right before the Olympics. She was actually citing mental health as well to take a step back. And they have Marie Tolo and Essie Magbegor. I hope I'm saying that right. But, I still don't think they're any match for the United States because the U.S. has veterans like Tina Charles, Sue Bird, and Wilson that I mentioned earlier. So I see the United States easily advancing to the semifinals here. And I think they are going to take place on August 6th. And I think the United States has a very real chance to continue their gold streak and tie them in. I think it's going to be awesome to see. But bringing it back home to the United States, Jaya is going to give us some updates on NBA trades and deals.
Absolutely. Before we leave, you guys, we've got to update you a little bit. Although the NBA finals are over, there's still lots to report in the world of basketball. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these deals and trades that have been being made this week. Trae Young has agreed to a 5-year extension with the Hawks worth up to $207 million. So he's getting a lot of money there with Atlanta. The Heat are working towards an extension with Jimmy Butler that could be worth $184 million. The Heat have also acquired Kyle Lowry. They were working on trying to get him to the Heat for a little while now, and they didn't know if it was going to go through, but he is on a 3-year deal with the Heat, so he's coming down here to Miami. Chris Paul, not a surprise to me, will be returning with the Suns. He's on a 4-year deal with them, worth up to $120 million. So obviously, he's going to be trying to make it back to those finals. Lonzo Ball is going to be going with the Chicago Bulls. They agreed on an $85 million 4-year extension. And Jarrett Allen will be returning to the Cavs on a 5-year, $100 million deal, as well as Mike Conley going back to the Jazz for 3 years for $72.5 million. But, these are obviously our big stars. Them making all this money is no shocker to anybody. I mean, maybe it's shocker to some, but I think, this is usually the type of dollars that we're seeing. The biggest surprise is going with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are giving their rookie guard, Shai Alexander, $172 million for their rookie contract, for his rookie contract extension. It's a 5-year deal that includes a 30% escalator clause, meaning that should Alexander get voted onto one of the 3 All-NBA teams next season, that $172 million is going to be worth $207 million. So he is really looking in good shape. I mean, that's some great motivation to have a great season if I ever did see one. But a lot of people are like, who is this guy? Why is he getting this much money? Honestly, I think that these athletes work hard. They deserve as much money as they can get. But a lot of people are surprised at this not random. We obviously know who he is. But compared to the other names on this list, people are like, why is he getting $172 million? Why is he making as much as, a starting star player? So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's strange. I wish I was like a fly on the wall in the middle of those contract negotiations, just kind of know what was going on there. But I mean, props to him. If you can get it, get it. But that is pretty shocking.
Yeah, especially for someone who hasn't been playing for that long. Like, not only is he not one of the big names in basketball, he hasn't been playing very long. And I think that goes to show that the Oklahoma City Thunder is very willing to, how do I say this? Willing to capitalize on someone's potential, provide them with extra motivation to become the player that they want them to become. It's it's kind of like conditioning, I feel like. So if they give this guy $172 million in that elevator clause that Jaya mentioned, it's gonna drive him to do better, play at a different level. And I think that they want to see that. They want to see the fast improvement. They're hoping money can do the trick. We'll see if that works. But we'll see if that works. But that's definitely unusual. You don't see that very often with younger players. So we'll see how it plays out.
I want his agent on my side when I graduate college. I need him to be there negotiating deals.
Whoever his agent is a very, very talented man.
Yeah.
This should be some good motivation. I'm definitely going to keep an extra eye out for Alexander this season now that I know how much money he's making. But yes, congratulations to all these guys. I think, it'll be interesting to just see everybody back on the court. I know the second that basketball season's over, I'm already ready for it to start again. So got to be patient during this off season, but I'm glad to see everybody's getting paid.
Yes, for sure. So we got a little bit of the Olympics left, and I think we're all excited to see how lots of these things panned out. We're all excited to watch some of the finals in soccer and basketball and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And we will see you next week for our next episode.